So new problem, but we are going to begin by understanding the question statement as always. So we see here that it says, what is the fourth lap time? So what was, the fourth lapse time? So when we check that out, my party people, we see that it says 4 lap times have an average of 62 seconds. My party people, help me out. Average is another way of saying what? Average is another way of saying mean. Absolutely. So we know here that our mean equals 62. Something we should definitely highlight, that our mean is 62. And then we have 4 values, because again, it says 4 lap times. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, using an X for the one that we're missing. And we have 59, 64, and 61. So I'm going to demonstrate 2 ways to get this problem done. The first way is going to be straight up using the equation. And then the other way is going to be by considering the balancing method in terms of how mean actually works. The balance point between all of the numbers. So with that, let's go ahead and do the arithmetic way first. Again, just calculating with the formula. So our mean equals the total. So add the numbers up and divide by the number of numbers. So remember, if we're working forward, we're going to add to get the total, and then we'll divide by the number of numbers to get the mean. So working backwards, we're going to multiply by this, because I want to get the x that's inside of the total, because again, you add all of these up in here. I'm trying to get this by itself. So I'm going to multiply both sides by that value. So I'll replace the mean and the number of numbers with 62 and 4, because it's 4 values that we're using. So we'll multiply by 4 on both sides. And once we do that, we have 62 multiplied by 4. And that's going to be 8 right there. And then 6 times 4 is 24. So we have 248 equals the total. And just remember, everybody, the total is going to be all of these values added together. So that'll be x plus 59 plus 64 plus 61. With a little bit of mental math, we can clean this up pretty quickly. We can say 59 and 61. I'll take that 1 and put it right there. So that's 60 and 60, so that's 120. 120 plus 64 is 184. We have x plus 184. And the last thing that we'll need to do here is subtract that 184 from both sides. Once we do that on the right side and the left side, just like that, we'll cross out here on the right side to cancel. And then we are left with 4 right there, and 24 minus 18 is 6. So there we are, my party people. That missing number that we were looking for was 64, but before we continue, I want to show you the balancing method and how that can help you out. So if we use the balancing method, we can consider this in the following way. 62 is going to be that average. So let me just take this here on the right side out. We have 62 as the average, and we just have to make sure that everything on the left and the right of it maintains the balance. So what we mean by that is we'll start here with 52. Everybody, when we think about 52, how far away is 52 from, 59, sorry about that. How far is 59 from 62? How far away is 59 from 62? That'll be 3. Awesome. So I'll write that 3 right over there. Next up, I'll go ahead and consider the 64. The 64 is bigger than 62, so I'll write that here on the right side. Everybody, how far away is 62 from 64? Yeah, they're 2 away, so I'll go ahead and write that 2 right over there. Next up, we have the 61. 61, it's lower than 62, so I'll write the 61 over here. Everybody, how far away is 61 from 62? It's just 1 away, exactly. So boom, I have 1 and 3, which 1 and 3 together, that's going to make 4. So I'll just replace that with 4. Now, when we think about that, look at this balancing act. There's 4 on the left side and 2 on the right side. This is not balanced. To make this balanced, I need to go ahead and stack on an extra 2 right over there. That's how I'll keep it balanced, because then I'll have 4 on this side and 4 on that side. So everybody, when we think about that, how or what number do we arrive at if we start at 62 and go up by 2? We'll land on 64. That's what the missing value would be. 64 with the balancing technique, and we'll still get 64 with straight up calculation. So that'll make the correct answer in this case, answer choice B. Again, 2 fun ways to do it. Pick your preference and go with it. All right, taking a look at the next word problem here. The next word problem says, what percent of the run did the runner finish? Okay, so what percent of the run did the runner finish? Sounds good. So what percent? That's what we're looking for. And then we want to know the percent that represents how much was finished. Okay, blank percent finished. All right, sounds good. So let's take a look at the other information that's there. And it says a runner completes 18 miles of a planned 30-mile challenge. Okay, so 18 miles are complete or finished. And then 30 miles is the total. So 30 miles total. So if we're setting up our equation for our percentage here, it is blank percent times the total of 30 miles equals what we finished. Again, because this percent represents what was finished right there. So what we have to represent as the result is the amount that was finished. And that is represented by the 18 miles that we've completed. So that's really the hardest part. Before we get to the calculation, obviously, but that's the hardest part. Just making sure you can contextualize what you see. So now that we've contextualized it, now we can move forward to solving. So I'll just put an X for that percent. And so what we have is 30 times X equals 18. And so we just have to get rid of everything around the X. And to get rid of the 30, we're doing the opposite operation, which is going to be division. We'll divide both sides by the 30, canceling out on the left, and we're going to have X equals whatever that's going to be. So let's do the long division. Let's get there. And that'll be 30 dividing into 18. Zooming in, we see that we have 30 can't go into 1. 30 can't go into 18. So this is where I'm going to use a decimal. And then those zeros that are always there, but we don't write them down, we're going to put that there. So to do this, now we ask ourselves, well, 30 can't go into 1 or 18. How many times does 30 go into 180? And that's going to be 6. Yeah, exactly. That's going to be 6. So we have that right there, and we're done. That's it. Subtract 180, no remainder. We're good. And so we have X equals 0.6. However, everybody, what's the problem? We finished the calculation, but the problem is that, remember that percentages show up as decimals. Percentages show up as decimals. And so because of that, we have to turn it back into a percent. And it's always going to be how many times, everybody? Always going to be how many times? Twice, exactly. So we're going to take 0.6, move that decimal place over twice. 1, 2. So there's that 0 right there. So it'll end up being 60%. So completing the 18 miles out of the 30-mile journey means that you are 60% complete. And there we are. If you would have gotten answer choice D, that would have been because perhaps we divided 30 by 18 and not 18 by 30. Notice how it matters. Your setup and your solution, it really does.